Okay, remember how Jesus was screaming on the cross?
I mean, yeah, I guess, yeah.
Yeah, you don't have to scream while you're on the cross, right? You don't have to.
All right.
But he not only was a screamer, he was a dyer early. He didn't die of the crucifixion. Jesus Christ did not die of a crucifixion. He screams out, and then, boom, he's gone. And it says the soldiers are surprised. They report it to Pilate. They're like, he died early, bro. Notice tells us that vinegar that they offered to Jesus on the cross and the sponge, that was an antidote to the deep sauce. The deep sauce is the horned viper of North Africa, and its venom makes you really thirsty. They were trying to give him an antidote. His followers, all his prophets that were around the cross, they were trying to give him an antidote. He didn't get it, and he overdosed. He's dead. That's it.
How did they administer the snake venom?
Oh, that's the brother.
While he was on the cross?
No. Oh, no. He had it already by the time. When he shows up in the garden, he's got it on his face.
Oh, so he had already been given this. He gave himself the snake venom?
That's why he's going through the gyrations and I'm feeling bad. He's already going through it. It was the boy's.
That was the antidote to it.
That is the antidote. And he says, let this cup pass. What is that cup? In the Apocalypse, the Revelation?
Yes.
It says that cup is borne up by that theriac, by that galene. They're using the same. It's one right. They're using the same drugs in the Apocalypse. And the great enemy of God is that lady's cup, which is full of porneia. You have to drink the boy's porneia
to survive.
In order to survive.
But why did he get this? Why did he take the snake venom in the first place?
Because he was a Christ.
So he was just, he overdosed. So he overdosed. How are you going to
prophesy? How are you going to prophesy?
He accidentally took too much, is what you're saying.
No, I don't think he took too much. I don't think he got an antidote. The texts are not saying.
Oh, he just didn't get an antidote.
Yeah, I think that's why Nona says they were attempting that sponge, which, by the way, Nonus is corroborated by the Geoponica. The Geoponica is a Byzantine farmer's manual, for lack of a better term. Mm-hmm. And in it, it says the vinegar, the oxus, that is the remedy. That's the common term for the remedy of the dipsass snake. Mm-hmm. Right? Okay. So it's the chemical knowledge is all there. They were just using it, and it's, Heracles liked it in the eyes, though. That's the thing.
But how much later did he die from that moment in the park? How much time passed before he was crucified?
Yeah, it's at midday, isn't it? At midday. When's he shot out? I think it's during an eclipse.
Because there was like the Last Supper, right?
Yeah, during the eclipse. Yeah, no, it's later, right? Last Supper was the party all night, naked, right? It says specifically that Jesus was naked with his paideia, with his boys. And he's always calling them boys. He calls them my little ones. I've got some verses here where he calls them my little ones. Mm-hmm. Right? So what is he doing? He's perpetuating a cult that is a practical business, is if it's illegitimate because it's prosecuted by the government. And Julius Caesar was one of the people who started cracking the back of it because they kidnapped him. They were going to sell him off. And he got a ransom and came back and killed them all.
Wow.
Crucified them.
So I'm surprised it took the snake venom so long to kill him.
Yeah.
I mean, that was, so it was more than 24 hours from when he was crucified, from when he was found in the park?
No, he would have gotten it. So he went to the party with the boys at night. So that's when they would have done the administration of the flesh and the blood.
Okay.
Yeah.
And it was the next day he was crucified.
Remember the Ophites still fillate for the sacred communion. Roman soldiers do too. Yeah.
So the sacred communion
Mithraic, yes,
was a
your seed makes me high.
So not only was this stuff being used as an antidote, they were also mixing it with other stuff to get high?
It's polypharmacy. It's a ton of plants and animal substances. Some of them I laugh at. I'm like, oh, gee, how did they figure that out? I have no idea.
But didn't you mention that somehow the boy or either animals or humans were used to endogenously create drugs?
They tested on roosters. They tested drugs on roosters, and they would give them poisons and then feed them the antidote, cause them to swallow the antidote, and to see if that, Galen writes about that. He says you can do it on people too, and they do.
So were they giving the poisons to these people and then assuming that these people their immune system would react in a certain way and they could pull out, like, for lack of a better term, like the antibodies that we're using to fight the poison and use that to put into other people?
I think that's what's happening when they talk about breast milk.
Okay.
These priestesses will give off a breast milk. They cut their arms.
And they would give themselves drugs. And then they would
give themselves the venom over time in a wrap. Mm-hmm. And then
and their body would start fighting against it. And then they would pull out the breast milk and use that as an anti-venom.
As an anti-venom, yeah, essentially.
Or an antichrist.
It's not really an anti-venom either. It is a balancing drug.
Right.
So you're not stopping the venom. You're basically, the physicians say you're stopping the negative symptoms.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, polypharmacy.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah, good stuff. Let's get some hemlock and some henbane, some aconite, some really poisonous stuff. And then,
do you think that their pharmaceutical knowledge and their drug knowledge, if we understood all of that today, do you think it would advance our knowledge currently in science and pharmaceuticals and the treatments of illnesses and disease?
Yeah, undoubtedly. And I tell people just that. They're thinking of making the human body the producer of the drug, right? Your body becomes, they're not thinking, okay, this person is depressed, therefore I'm going to hit him with this drug. Right, this one drug, I'm going to see what happens to them and watch them, you know what I mean? They want to kill themselves? Oh, that's not going to work, right? That's not what they're doing. They're looking at using multiple drugs to basically create the potential that the human body has to make its own communion, to be a source of health, right? Sacred name of Rome.
Right.
Is that health. It is that power. It is that extended capacity. It's why we insist that the vessels are virgins. Yeah. They direct us.
It's why we insist that the vessels are virgins?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Yeah. It's why that they have to be in a certain physical state, because the person becomes the vehicle of the drug. The cup is full of her. Yeah, that's her ejaculate. We are talking about the communion that is the ejaculate of a virgin.
Right.
An oracular virgin.
Right.
Yeah. And when I say virgin, I mean the kind that they put up on the statues. Right? Remember Athena? Athana? Mm-hmm. That's the exact image, the eidolon that they're creating. Is Athena, the Virgin, Holy Virgin. You don't worship the Holy Virgin?
Do I?
Yeah. What is your religion?
I'm not really religious.
Yeah, I didn't think so. It's a bunch of crap, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Not according to you.
No.
According to you, it's way more than I thought it was. So why in the Bible do they explain that the guys who were being crucified next to Jesus were just thieves?
Yeah, that's how they translate it. That's how they translate it.
And again, this is not on purpose. They just accidentally did this.
How are you going to translate it?
But isn't it convenient that isn't it convenient for them that they left all this out?
Oh, you are right on top of it, detective. No, seriously, write your dissertation now. Why would you choose between a kid having a linen garment and a bandage on his parts? And why would you choose to present Jesus in a way that's not accurate? to the sources. I'm not saying to anybody's interpretation. There's no room for interpretation here. It's just what are the sources saying? He's a laestace,
which is a pimp,
which is basically a trafficker. Yeah.
Which was looked down upon, which was frowned upon back then.
Because it's an active, organized crime.
But a civil crime.
You've got boys of Galilee, and those boys of Galilee, they're entrenched in the.
But didn't you say that when the people approached Jesus in the park, you called them cops? They were like ancient
Roman
cops. Did they have chest cams?
No, but they had big weapons. He notes it, and I have that.
And he said, and according to Matthew, the first thing he said is, "I am not a laestace or a trafficker." Right.
He said, "I'm not a laestace, man." He says, "Why did you come out here? Why did you come out here with all your heavy weapons like I'm a laestace?"
Right.
Right. Right. So,
well, maybe he wasn't. Maybe he was just trying to get the antidote.
Well, it could be, but he's making a big deal about it, right?
Right.
For some reason.
Mm-hmm.
And he's standing there contextually right next to a kid. So, maybe he's trying to give an answer for why there's a kid with him in a public park at 4 a.m.
If I'm his lawyer, that's what I'm going to say.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yes. No, more importantly, what's that kid actually doing? And I think that's the question.
What do you think?
The evidence only shows that he could be one of these boy dudes who's providing the people who are in the cult with the galene.
Okay.
With the thing that's going to balance whatever it is
communion
that Jesus has taken that's put him into a state. And it doesn't work, and he ends up dying on the cross. And if you notice in the resurrection, we just had Easter. Did anybody notice that it's another boy?
We just had an Easter and we just had an eclipse.
Yeah, another boy with Jesus in the tomb. Don't you remember?
No.
Yes.
I never read the Bible.
Yeah. Oh, you didn't? That's right. Oh, we got to start reading the Bible more.
Should I read it?
Yeah, I think you should.
Which version should I read?
The Greek version. Yeah. Yeah. Come to my class. I'll have you 20 weeks. 20 weeks. I'll have you with just enough to be dangerous.